What's up? How are you guys doing? In today's video, we're doing something a little more challenging. Okay, so this video, by the way, is part of the 50 Rust project playlist. In case you don't know about that, go to my channel, playlist tab, and there's a 50 Rust project playlist. This video is a part of that. And till now in this playlist, we have been building Rust projects with increasing level of complexity. And we'll keep doing that. We'll continue to do that. But in this video, we are just changing things around a bit, just to make things a little more exciting and challenging. Okay, we are going to be using Rhai, which is an embedded scripting language, and we're also going to be using Actix Web. Now, Actix Web is something that makes many developers uneasy because it's a huge framework for us to build APIs, and the thing is, the beauty for the awesomeness about today's video is that it's going to be only 60 lines of code. That's about it, about 50 to 60 lines of code. It's a very small, simple program, and you don't need to know Actix Web, and you don't need to know Rhai at all. You don't need to know any of these two things to build today's program. The thing is, I will build many more projects, and then I will take you to a place where we'll dig down into Actix Web a lot deeper. We'll learn about Actix Web, and that'll take a while, right? That'll be somewhere around video number 20 or something. Now we've done about 10 projects with Rust. I think 9 or 10 projects, and this is like the 11th or 12th project. I'm not sure. Today's video. So today I want you to get exposed to Actix and Rhai. But I also don't want you to worry about so many features that Actix Web brings you, right? So this is why I've designed the project in a way that anybody who has zero knowledge about Actix and zero knowledge about Rhai can build it. And what I want to happen, after this video is that you should get a lot of confidence. You should be very confident about working with Actix Web. You should be very confident about working with Rhai, and you should start getting your feet wet, right? Because suddenly in video 20, when we'll introduce you to Actix, it might make you a little uneasy because there's a lot of knowledge a lot of information to take in, right? So that's why we're going it very, very slowly. It's like you're a frog in a saucepan with water, and I'm just increasing the heat slowly, right? I'm sure you've heard about the story where you keep increasing the heat slowly, and the frog doesn't really notice the heat is increasing. So I'm increasing the heat slowly, but in this video I'm increasing the heat just a little too much, and then I'll bring it back down in the next video. Okay, so this is just what do you call it, like a wild card of a video or something, it'll freshen your mind up. Okay, so but also it won't put you in the spot. It won't put you in a place where you're not able to handle so much information at the same time. Okay, so having said all of that, okay, I won't be introducing you to Actix Web. I won't be talking about Rhai much. I'll show you the code. It's a very simple code, 50, 60 lines, and I'll explain everything to you. And mostly you'll understand everything. Even if you don't worry, because we have not learned about Actix Web, we have not learned about Rhai. It's completely okay if you don't understand anything. But the project, like I said, I'm repeating it so many times because I want you to be very, very calm and composed and relaxed and not worry because I've suddenly introduced two new things, right, in the whole mix. But don't worry, I'll take care of everything. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so crack your knuckles and stretch your arms or whatever, grab a cup of coffee, and then let's open up our terminal. So before we get started with the code, I just want to tell you that I've already built the project. It will be available on GitHub. I'm Akhil Sharma 90 on GitHub. You will find this. I'll make it a point to upload this today because this is something that I just cooked up quickly, right? It's not there on GitHub right now, but I'll put it there on GitHub right now. So what you want to do is you want to run the program first. So I'll show you how it runs. So cargo run. Okay, and then you go to your browser, and it's a very simple API. It's an API. So we're building an API on port 8080, which just adds two numbers, 5 and 10. That's it. It's a get API. So that's why you can run it in the browser, and you get the answer, which is 15. Okay. What if you multiply? So there'll be two functions, right? That means that we have two functions, multiply and add. If you multiply, you get 50, or you can also multiply with 15. Change any of these numbers, it works perfectly fine. It's an API that adds and multiplies any two numbers that you send to it. Okay, which is awesome, right? Like a get, it's like two get APIs, one with add, one with multiply. So I hope you've understood what this program does. So like I said, program is already built. I will put it on GitHub, and what I do now with this Rust series, right? There's another Golang, like 42 projects of Golang series. Check it out on my playlists. So for this, what happened with that Golang series was that I built the programs with the audience, and people used to get like really tensed, what am I doing? Because there used to be like so many errors and so many issues, and that's how I build things, right? I build things with issues and errors, and then I fix all of them at the end. But now, because it really troubles a lot of beginners who are really starting out like coding, because I was assuming that if you're building a complex project, you probably have like a good amount of engineering experience. But it's okay. Like sometimes a lot of young people, like very new people, they come and start to code along with your videos. So what I've done now is I build these projects beforehand, and I try to make like as few mistakes as possible so that they don't get really troubled and all. And I now also use those plugins to build these projects. Anyhow, I've said a lot, I've spoken a lot, and I don't do that usually. Now it's time to start building your project. Okay, so what we'll do now is we will create a new cargo project. So cargo new, and I will call this API, simple API. Let's call it simple API. No, because I already have a simple API project for you in mind already. So we'll call this Rhai Actix Web. I'm not sure if that's also a good name. Whatever, like I'll just call it Actix simple. And for YT, for YouTube, okay. So we'll cd into Actix sim YT, and we will open it up. Open it up in VS Code. And so firstly, we'll start by just removing everything that you have in VS Code in your main.rs file, and we'll add some dependencies now. Okay, so what I've done now is I have minimized the terminal which was running behind this VS Code, so that you'll get better visibility now. And dependencies, we want two, right? We want the Actix Web, and we want Rhai, RHAI, this one. These two, so Actix Web 4.0.1, Rhai 1.6.1. So make sure you get those. In case you don't want to type this out, you can look for this project on GitHub. On GitHub, I'll call it like Rust, Rhai, Actix, something like that. I'll call it something like that. So you'll be able to find it easily. If you check it out today, which is the 6th of October, it's like, it'll be a fresh project. So 2022, by the way, this is 2022 when I'm shooting this video. Okay, so here we will use Actix Web. Okay, like I said, you don't have to know a lot about Actix Web. Just understand that you get access to the HTTP server, in the sense you're able to create servers and create APIs with Actix Web. That's all you need to know right now. Because we need to create two get APIs, and rest of the things I won't really tell you about them right now. Okay, so I won't confuse you with information about these three things. Okay, and don't worry if you don't understand much. What you need to be focusing on today is just getting this program to work somehow. Many of the things will start making sense to you, and at least you'll get exposed to Actix Web, and you'll get exposed to Rhai, which are going to be very critical for your career and very critical for the projects as we go ahead, and also very critical when we actually learn about Actix Web, so that you have some amount of context about what Actix Web does, right? With Rhai, you just use the Rhai engine. Okay, Rhai is, by the way, a scripting language, and I'll show you what it does. Firstly, we want to create our main function, right? So the way to create a main function which will be able to create a server and APIs and all of that will be to use Actix Web, just like you use Tokyo main, right? You use Actix Web main, and you say async function. So just like with Tokyo, you used to get access to async function, you can do the same with Actix Web. And you already know about error handling, a little bit about error handling. I've not taught you error handling in details, but you know about result a little bit, I think, I hope. So all you want to do is you want to create a HTTP server. Create a new HTTP server. Okay. creates a new app. This app new thing is something that you do with React, with Node.js, with Express. You know, you've seen this. It just creates a new app for you. Very similar syntax with Fiber in Golang if you use that. There are two services, like I showed you in the demo. One is for multiplying and one is for adding the two numbers. So you have multiply and add. And finally, you have at which IP address do you want to bind this to? The server should be, we should bind this to our local host, which is 127.0.0.1, and comma 8080. Then you'll just unwrap it, you will run, and you will await. As simple as that. Okay, so we're in a good place now. We've created a new HTTP server, and this is it's so simple to create an HTTP server at a particular port. This is all you have to do, and this is all you have to do to register to two different services with the server, right? This is really simple with Actix Web. There's no rocket science. Now that you have created these two services, you have to also talk about those two services, and this is how you do it. So you say get /multiply, which is this is the API route. This is the API route. You'll receive the first number, and then you are expecting the second number. This is how you define the route in Actix Web. And the second route will be, again, it'll be a get route. So can you see how easy it is? I mean, you just have to write get and then the /add /number1/number2. That's it. That's all you have to do to register those two APIs, those two routes. But now we'll write the actual logic of the functions. So the first function, as we know, is the multiply function. It's going to expect a path which will have two numbers, like num1 and num2, which will be integer 64, integer 64. And then we'll implement a responder to send a response. Okay, so expecting basically a number 1 and number 2, I64, I64. That's how you show it. And let's say number 1 comma number 2 is equal to path dot into underscore inner, and you will. So basically what you're doing here is you're getting access to these number 1, number 2, which is I64, I64, both of these. This is their type. You're getting access to that in these two variables, number 1 and number 2. You'll get them from the path. Okay. So we'll create a variable called engine, which is basically this engine with a capital E. So we're creating a new variable with a small e, okay, which basically refers to the engine, creates a new engine, new instance, right? Creating a new instance. I'm sure if you learn any other programming language, you know what creating an instance is. And then you say engine register, engine being your Rhai that we're learning, engine register function, and num1. You're now exposing the number num1 and num2 that you've received in this API in this function called multiply. You're exposing that to Rhai, okay, RHAI, the Rhai engine. You're exposing that there. That's why we said engine.register function. And then we'll move it there. So we'll say move num1, and we'll say engine.register fn. Let's say num2 comma move num2. Once we have exposed these two to the Rhai engine, we will do something here, right? We'll find the result from multiplication. Now I want to show you something really interesting. So what you want to do is you want to create two files here. Okay, I hope you're coding along with me. Two files, add.Rhai, and you want to create multiply.Rhai. Okay. And add.Rhai, basically the Rhai scripting language gives you the ability to write like JavaScript type of code. JavaScript, it's a scripting language, right? But it's better than JavaScript. So you can, the reason for these kind of languages to exist is that you can break down the complexity of really huge algorithms into very small code, which looks like a script, in the sense very, very easy to read for humans. And this is the reason why you use scripting languages, and this is why you use Rhai. And I'll just show you how easy it is to add numbers. So you say number 1 plus number 2. That's it. And you'll say num1 is equal to num1, which we just exposed num1 and num2, right, to this function. So we're just saying the same thing here. So if you remember, we just exposed our num1 and num2, and that's what we're getting access to here. So this was the one that's coming from the main function, and we want to use it locally, so that's why we're saying num1, num2, and all you do is add num1, num2. That's it. So this is a small script. It adds numbers together, and you handle all the complexity of opening up your, like starting your API, starting your server, and the API definition and your multiply function. All of that can be done with Rust, and this can be done with Rhai. So here you add, and similarly you just copy this and paste the whole thing and say multiply, and you just replace this with this, and you call the multiply function. Right, that's it. That was it. This is all the logic you need for addition and multiplication. That was it. And here, coming back to our main.rs file, all you want to do is you want to say let result is equal to engine.eval file. This is your result. So the result will also be in i64 format, and you'll say src / multiply dot Rhai, because that's the file that we just created, dot into, and in the end dot unwrap. Wow. And yeah, so at the end you just want to format the response. That's it. So you just format the result. That is it. That's the program. That's the program to multiply those two numbers. This is it. Isn't this awesome? Right? So you don't have to know Actix Web, you don't have to know Rhai to learn this, to create this program, and this gives you a lot of exposure to the syntax, to how you handle APIs, to how you start up servers, to how you use Actix Web. So now you can at least say that you use Actix Web, and that really creates a big positive image in your brain of yourself, that you've worked with Actix Web, you worked with Rhai, and then when you actually build real projects in this series later on, you won't have that big a ladder to jump, because in your mind you already think of yourself as a Rust and Actix Web developer. So you already have muscle memory, you already have all of those things. So this is just like psychology to learn better, to get better really fast. This is just psychology stuff that I keep talking about. But anyhow, if you're not interested in all of that and just interested in the code, that's also fine. So add, the add function. All you have to do is just copy and paste, and just replace all of that with add. That's it. Okay. And here the file that you'll call will be add.Rhai. Now I don't recommend copying and pasting to anybody. Like, never ever just pick up stuff and copy and paste it. Never do that. The reason is like here it's a very small code, and also I'm very, very experienced, so I know which place to change the add and multiply. But even then I would probably I end up making a lot of mistakes. And what happens is with beginners who are beginning with any new language, they copy and paste, they don't know where to make those changes, and like they think they know where to make the changes, but sometimes they don't, and that ends up having like breaking the entire code, and you get unpredictable errors which you don't know where they're coming from. So all of those things happen. So I'd never recommend copying and pasting anything, and you always type the whole thing out. You get used to the syntax, you build muscle memory, you get used to the syntax, right? You build your muscle brain, whatever. Always do that, okay? And the only reason that I copy and paste stuff now is because people get irritated if I type everything they say. They say in my comments, hey, why do you type everything? And why can't you just copy and paste? Or why can't you just use this extension or that extension? Yeah, I mean, that's because I don't want the beginners to copy and paste. It's very simple, right? I want, at least when they look at me typing everything, they also type everything, and then they build up their skill set. Anyhow, this is the entire program. And now all you have to do now, I'll just minimize this and run it. And I'm expecting some errors. Let's see if we get some errors. Otherwise, if there are no errors, that's also great. So we'll just cargo run it. It'll take a while to build. Even though my internet connection is really fast and my processor is really fast, it'll still take a couple of seconds to build. I hope you can see the screen, by the way. Yeah, you can see the screen. I do struggle with recording the screen. I have to keep checking on my other screen, my OBS, if it's recording or not. Sometimes it's a very buggy software, OBS. It stops recording. Okay, so we can see that there is an issue. And the awesomeness of Rust is it'll tell you which file, which is src main.rs file. Okay, and the issue is on line 1, I think. Yeah, line 1. Issues on line 1, and it's also telling you what the issue is. Okay, so if you look closely, it'll tell you the issue is here, which place the issue is. And what does it expect? It expects one of either this or as. Yeah, so I know that the issue is this. It's expecting this. So you can be complete dumbass with Rust, and it'll tell you exactly which file, which line, which it'll print out that line. It'll tell you. It'll also point out where exactly the thing is required. It'll also tell you what is required there. Okay. I don't know any programming language that does this, but okay. So here you're saying use Rhai. Okay, this is on line 9. Let's check it out. Let's check out line 9. Check out line 9. All right. Use Rhai engine. So what's the issue here? Yeah, the issue is that there's no semicolon out here after this line. Should have been a semicolon out here. Let's try running it. It's running now. We'll open up our browser, saying the page isn't working. So there is a bigger issue at play somewhere. Add is working, multiply is not working. Not working. Multiply is not working. So we'll have to fix the code. We'll have to, I don't know what's happening. Yeah, we'll have to fix the code. We'll have to fix multiply, the multiply function. Why? Okay, let's try to fix it. So we noticed that the multiply function is not working, and if you look at the terminal, I'll just minimize this thing. If you look at the terminal, you get a lot of errors, right? When I'm trying to run the multiply function in the browser, I'm getting a lot of errors. It's saying multiply.rhai, no such file or directory. Okay, and that makes sense because the name of the directory is multiply.rhai, whereas I've written multiply. So it should be multiply.rhai. Perfect. That's it. That's all you had to do. Now we'll go ahead and run the program again. Okay. It should start running in a while. Okay. Okay, the address is already in use, 8080. So I'll have to check. Oh, I don't have netstart, so I basically want to check the open ports and then close off the 8080 port, because when you use Control Z, right, it stops, but it doesn't release the port. So you should always use Control C. But when I was using Control C, it didn't let me turn off the program. So I'll have to use some method to free my port up. So I'll have to use this command, sudo kill, the sudo kill command. So I'll put it here, and on port 8080, whatever is running, it should ideally. Oh, it's not able to kill it. I don't know why. Sorry, I got the wrong command from Stack Overflow. So this is the command. Let me place it here. I think I'll have to manually type the command. It's sudo kill -9 sudo lsof -t -I and 8080. So now my port should be free, hopefully. So I'll use cargo run. It's running now. It's running. So I'll minimize everything that I have open. I'll open this up, and yes, multiply works. Finally, right? So we had a few errors here and there. We've fixed them now. Multiply and add both work. So I hope you enjoyed building this program with me. Program is ready now. Let me check if it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. Program is ready. I'll put it on GitHub right now ASAP, and then you can basically pick it up from there in case you're having some issues with the code. So thanks a lot, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next project.